with the backstory. Like, how did this start for you? I know it's been quite the journey. We're 20 years later than when we met. I know you ran it in the pro ball for a while, but what kind of got you into baseball, and what was kind of your backstory?
Sure. I think like most kids, I got into playing baseball just as an option your parents throw at you when you're little.
Yeah.
And the very first year that I played, I was terrible.
Okay.
I was terrible.
How old?
Full baseball, 7.
Okay.
7 and 8. I played pony ball. And so that year I was the young kid, and there's a big difference between those ages. And I was just overmatched, dominated, just really was terrible.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I don't remember why, but my dad would always remind me, because I think he got a kick out of it, is that I just wanted to go throw with him every day. It was like I just couldn't stand not being good. And it wasn't like I was good at everything and this one thing stumped me. It was just, for whatever reason, I gravitated towards it. And within that year, I made this really huge leap from a skill set perspective. Even though they were little kids, like, it was glaring. And my dad was like, whoa, okay, you're really good at this. And just kept nurturing that. And it just took off from there. I think looking back on it now, as you say it, as the pro ball career was what it was, in that 7-year-old year, there was like bookending, similarities with success in between.
Uh-huh.
So I just continued to played a little bit of travel ball. When we were kids, that wasn't really a thing.
Yeah,
it kind of started becoming something, not like it is today. It's unrecognizable today from what it was when we were that age. That was my first real foray into, whoa, okay, there's some real talent out there if you go travel. Played on a team this is 1994, 95, and we were really good. Team was AAU, went to Florida, so got to see national talent, and I was like, I can compete.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you think you're good against your buddies and you dominate them in wiffle ball or even in Little League, and then you take that to some other national level tournaments, and you're like, okay, I can do this. And I just continue to play. I think I really loved the fact that, growing up, my best friends were the guys that I played with.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And it kept you coming back because you had people that knew you on the field, off the field. You motivated each other. We'd worked out mutual friends that we have to this day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that just spawned from there. I just continued to just always play. Played basketball in high school as well. Loved it. Thought I would be really good at basketball. Wrong. Played high school, but
you're good. No, you can play. But yeah, no, I know.
To play at a high school.
Yeah, 6'2", 6'3" doesn't necessarily cut it the next level.
Minimal leapers. There wasn't a future in that, as I once thought. And then baseball, just my skill set just kept developing, and it became apparent to me, through high school, like, okay, there's a possible, next level career to this. It was always college, right?
Yeah.
I think your path kind of gets groomed for you when you're that age. People say, oh, it could be this, and then there's this step, and there's all these stepping stones, and you always think about pro ball, but there's those intermediate steps. And it just continued to work at it, and I had a really interesting experience. Maybe I've never shared this with you. We had a changeover in coaches from my junior year to my senior year, and we had a really good group. We had, we had 6 seniors on the team that ended up being all area guys. We were really good as a team. But there was a missing ingredient. This coach really helped, and he ended up being a guy that had coached at Harbor College, where we went and kind of.
What was the coach's name?
Bob Anderson.
Yeah, Bob. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what Bob brought to the table was just a competitive nature that we were all missing.
Mm-hmm.
Just this piece that was, really integral to being successful, is that you have to believe and you have to compete. And it bred us. But one of the things he said, after a terrible loss, and he kept us there late, and we got just roached, and he said, I want every one of you to look inside yourself. Do you love this game? And I never really thought of that. You're
17 years old at the time.
High school senior.
Yeah.
Getting ready to probably go to JUCO and whatever, like, oh, here's this path. And it was like, do you love this? And I never stopped to think, like, is what I'm doing something that I love? And, I couldn't answer that. I really didn't. I'd never really thought of it in those terms. And it kind of carried with me for years, even into pro ball. Like,
Yeah.
do I love this? And I think looking back on all of it now, I can say I liked it a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I loved it like the people around me did.
Yeah. And that's the separator as you get older. I mean, there are guys that'll
100%.
go to the ends of the earth for it.
Yes. And it's not like a sour grape thing. It's more of just being honest with yourself and saying, did you do everything you could? Did you put in that hard work? Did you love it enough? And I look at that and I go, I could have given more. I could have, in certain instances, right? It's revisionist history, of course.
Yeah.
But that was a really defining moment. Because then when you have success in something, right? Because then I made that jump to junior college.
Yeah.
And I did really well. We played together.
Yep.
I was going to follow you to Florida. We had, there's all these, this cool trajectory. And I leveled up, I think, that first year. And it was like, okay, you start getting more attention from people. And then I kind of started having, I don't know if you've ever felt this. I think it's what people refer to as imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Where I started going, why am I getting all this attention?
Yeah.
What is this? And so it was very interesting looking back on it of like, I had no idea. I was a deer in headlights, getting these recruiting trips, going to major D1 colleges.
For sure. Yeah, no, I know that feeling too, where you're like, wait, they're talking about me? Especially being a junior college guy, because I feel like some of the guys that were big deal since they were 15, it's the next logical step for them. Oh, I know I'm going to play at UCLA. Oh, I know I'm going to play at USC.
Yep.
When you go to junior college, you're in junior college. You're just hoping to hang on. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, University of Texas, University of Florida, Cal State Fullerton, like, come, we want to talk to you. And it's almost like this feeling of, wait, what? Really? But I'm at Harbor College. Like,
Yeah.
I'm playing against Long Beach City tomorrow. Like, this doesn't compute.
Oh, it was so surreal having Michael Espy from USC come to a practice at LA Harbor.
Yeah.
And talk to me after, and I'm just going, this is insane.
Yeah.
This is real because
yeah.
that's a local school. I wanted to go to USC and
Yeah.
to have that experience. So it just blew me away in that moment and thinking back on it. But I just always went back to that thing like, you can have those opportunities, but if you're not hungry and you don't want them enough, like, I mean, maybe this is like, I feel like I'm giving a cautionary tale here now. Like,
No,
hey,
that's
make sure
okay.
you
Yeah.
give all that you have, because it's just that, as we were talking earlier, it's such a flash. It's so quick.
It flies, man.
It really does.
Coffee? You want some coffee?
Please.
Okay. Got some coffee from Two Guns, local espresso place in Manhattan Beach, California. It's fantastic. I'm going to pour you some if you don't mind.
Don't mind at all. Please and thank you.
Yeah. There you go.
Perfect.
So I'm going to take this off too.
Yeah, beautiful day out here.
All right. Sunny Southern California
No
by
place
the Manhattan
better.
Beach Pier.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Java and baseball talk.
Yeah.
You know?
go. Man, beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, so we're you're at LA Harbor College, and you're dominating at the time. I know that because I was sitting in the outfield watching it. Best curveball I've seen live up there. Very small handful of, Bobby Jenks, you, not too many more guys. I mean, it's Beckett.
That's high praise.
It's
I
high
appreciate
praise,
it,
but it was you had a special breaking ball. So anyway, long story short, I'm watching you dominate out there. Did you ever get to the point where you loved it, or did it just kind of hang to that? I really like this a lot, and I kind of to jump on with that is, do you wish you love it? Do you wish that maybe translated a little more?
You know what? It's easy to love something when you're succeeding.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
it's always easy to look back and say, it's almost like a defense mechanism. Oh, I didn't care that much. It's this apathy that can creep in. And that's not what I'm talking about. So I just want to make sure that I square that. At the time, it was, what I loved about that Harbor College experience was not only, I mean, obviously when you dominate and you're just out shoving, there's no better feeling.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
You're walking on water in your own mind. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But we had such a camaraderie and a brotherhood, and we went through, so many burials and just
my gosh.
torture
Yeah.
that, few have done in baseball, because junior college is just a unique animal, and Harbor College is,
Even
one
more
of
unique
one
animal.
in that, it's a unicorn, that it made all that just so much more special. And you're just having these experiences with guys. It was a momentous, defining moment in my life to be at that school and have those experiences, and to be able to succeed while going through it. I think really cemented how impactful it was, because we were aggressive.
Yeah.
It was dog eat dog. It didn't matter who you were, where you came from, like hard nosed.
Yep.
All the time. And it taught me how to compete in that way. And it really also showed, there was guys from so many different walks of life, and to have that bonding experience was awesome. I mean, it was people. We'd always joke and be like, "I wish Harbor was a 4-year college.
I know.
I wish you got a couple more years at it." Obviously, you look at it as an adult and you go, "All right, well, some of those aches and pains I'm probably feeling today."
Yeah.
1,000 bear crawls we had to do for some unknown reasons, and maybe tweak things a little bit, but the overall experience was great. So, taking Harbor, and I guess we can flash forward a little bit, right? Taking that momentum into pro ball was easy at the time, right? Because I went right from ending the JUCO season into short season, like a lot of guys do, and everything was going great. I did really well. The first few outings, I actually was the opening night starter, so that was a really cool experience, and getting on that. And it was, I still had that kind of imposter syndrome a little bit, but I was like, God, I could do this.
Yeah.
I can compete here. And I guess it's important to share it. Within the first month of me being there, I had a really bad accident that, again, this comes into the love of the game kind of thing. And I think thinking things through properly. I think we've talked about host families before, and we lived with a host family, and we're up on the Hudson River in New York, and decided to go ride jet skis with the host families, and it was a blast. I don't know if you've ever been on them, but they're wickedly.
Once, yeah.
And then, as an athlete, it's probably the only thing you should do, because you're like, oh, I got this, right? It's that confidence creeps in. So, anyways, long story short, ended up crashing epically, and really got really hurt, and really downplayed it because I didn't want to make a big deal out of it.
And that's the Harbor in you. I mean, that's kind of what we were taught, right? You don't say anything, you tough it out, and there's a ton of value to it, but maybe in this case, not as much.
100%. 100%. It's being young, and again, you look back on it and you go, what I could have done, what I should have done. There's a value in pushing through pain and adversity and just going for it. But then there's also the learning point of, hey, stop.
Yeah.
You're hurt. You don't need to do that. Like, there's an injured list that you can be placed on to come back to health.
And it's not gonna end your career if you go on this injured list.
No, but again, coming from that mentality of Harbor, that's almost like a badge of honor that you never do that. You never take the easy way out. Like, hey, I'm getting lit up. Oh, you've seen the guys that do that. I'm a hammy. Hey, this or that. And it's like this little injury. You're like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I know what you're doing. You're just trying to save. It's your ego protecting you. And in this instance, you're going, no, I'm going to just blast through and keep going. And I should have taken time off, and I didn't. And I ended up developing arm problems at the end of that year that carried into the next year, and I never really shook them. And so as I look at that, again, if people might listen and say, how do you know when you're hurt, kind of thing. I think
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
You deep down know, and be smart about it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't do that.
Especially with the arm too. I mean, at this point, obviously there's always going to be aches and pains as a starting pitcher. And when you start getting deep into a season, we're looking July, August, you've thrown 100 plus innings, on top of spring training, on top of getting prepared, you're not going to feel 100%. But, if you're feeling sharp, jabbing pains or any of that sort, like, that's a difference between like the aches of being a starter.
Oh yes. And that's the difference too, from college to pro ball, making that leap is the workload.
Yeah.
Right. You're pitching every fifth day instead of once a week. You have a managed pitch count, but the season's a lot longer.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's just learning how.
And you're expected to throw a side too.
In between. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think I threw one full length side in the 5 full seasons I played.
Yeah.
They were short, like touch and feels, like, hey, I didn't have the gas to go.
Yeah.
That was that's just how it is. Looking back on it, you go, hey, maybe you just take some time. I played with a guy who, 10 plus years in the big leagues, and he did that. He said, I have shoulder discomfort, and got it scoped, had a cyst in there, had it removed, missed a season, but came back and just his career took off. And I look at that like in a parallel way, and I go, that's the smart. You're thinking of your career. You're not thinking about toughing it out for the season, for the team. And it's just a different mindset that I, at the time, wasn't able to convert to that pro ball mindset that you need.
No, for sure. And you bring that up, and I think we can all go to guys that kind of had the mindset of, this is my career. I'm going to navigate the trail properly the whole time. And then there are other, they weren't necessarily inspiring to be around, some of them, but some of them had long careers. And there were other guys, it's like, give me the damn ball, I'll figure it out. And those guys were the best teammates ever. Not all of them maybe had the careers that they wanted to. So it's a pick your poison in a lot of ways, because there is something to the camaraderie and the teammate, and the different relationships with your teammates that you talked about earlier, like at Harbor.
Oh, absolutely. It's a different beast in pro ball. It's the thing that I had a hard time getting my mind around from just the way that I love the team sport. I never played individual sports. I always really liked the team aspect. I played basketball. It's very team oriented. You can be 1v1 guy, but a lot of it's synergy with your teammates, and I really enjoyed that. And pro ball is, not in a bad way. It's just the design of it. It's almost antithetical to that.
Yeah.
And we actually had coordinators within the organization that would say, hey, you're not really competing against the other team. You're competing against your own teammates.
Really? Guys would say that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, you're competing against the guy in the same uniform as you, because you're all vying for the same positions. So it became more of a very solitary dog-eat-dog feeling. I don't think all organizations were like that, and I don't think that, they were always like that, but there was that element that just was, hey, look out for you. And if you're on a 10-game losing streak and everybody's bummed, but you're dealing, it's all good.
Yeah, that's
right.
crazy.
But if the team's on a 10-game win streak and you're getting shelled, and you're kind of like, it's like the end of the world.
Yeah.
So there wasn't this pull towards the winning and pulling on the same end of the rope. That was an interesting kind of thing to process for me, to just go, hey, just do your thing.
Yeah, for sure. And so you're with at the time, the Devil Rays.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And much different than probably the Rays today, correct? Just mindset, mentality in the organization.
Oh, yeah. And to be fair, yes, at the time they were the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, had just transitioned to those nice green uniforms from the tropical colored ones they originally came out with. And it was a really easy, relatively speaking, an easier path to the big leagues than probably most other organizations. There wasn't they weren't winning, clearly, and there wasn't a stockpile of talent in the way. We're like a Yankees organization or these perennial winners had. And so people felt that, and I think that's kind of where that crab in a barrel mentality came from, was like, I'm a stone's throw away. I just need to get to Double-A and put together a couple outings, and I'm going to get that call up. Wow. And I saw it happen. I watched a roommate go from,
who was that?
Chad Godin.
Okay.
And same guy. He dealt low A, high A, just, dominating.
Yeah.
And he went to Double-A, was there for a month, threw a perfect game in a 7-inning game, throws a perfect game, deals for a couple outings, boom, he's in the big leagues.
Yeah.
And everybody sees that and they go, wow, the path is so short. And if you're a shortstop in the Yankees organization at the time, Jeter's got that thing locked up for a couple decades, you're just going, hey, I hope I get Rule 5 to a better opportunity. Right? So it's just a different mindset. And I think it was one of the cool things from a sports perspective to see the cultural shift that took place in that organization, and to be there as it happened was really awesome and really cool to see that mindset change, and it became about winning at all levels.
And so when did that start? Towards the end of your run there?
It was. So I guess kind of breezing through my career, I played after that short season in 2000.
We're not going to breeze through, man. I'm going to walk you through it.
All right, that's fine. It's very cathartic to go back on these times. But this was in 2006. So I had Tommy John in 2005.
Yep.
Rehab year in 2006. For anybody that's done it, they know it's a long slog. You've done it.
I've
We
done
have
it,
friends that have. It's it's a long process. You feel like you can go out and compete. 4 months out, and they're like, "You got another 8 months of this, buddy."
Yeah.
So saddle up and just
smallest
60-foot long toss.
smallest exercises.
Oh yes.
Spend an hour on your forearm and you're
Exactly. But in that time, there was an ownership change from the minority owners became the majority owners, and they also hired Joe Madden.
okay.
And he took over. And there was a cultural shift. There really was. There was just a positive upbeat that he brought. He was the only of the big league managers. He was the only one that came down to minor league camp and talked to the guys and talked to all of us as a group and talked about what we were building. We and had that real cohesive ethos to what he was saying. And it was great. I watched the change. I didn't get to really participate in it.
Yeah.
I finished out in 07, but to watch it and flashing forward a few years after that, as I was in my normal civilian life, I ran across him. He was dining out with his wife, I believe, and I felt compelled. I was like, "Hey, Coach, I just had to tell you, I was there, I watched it, and he was so gracious, so
That's
great.
cool.
It was really cool to be able to tie a bow on something that you saw that was really motivating. I think it transcends just the sport of just how that kind of leadership can really change things.
For sure. And you talk about the positive mindset he brought every day. I mean, that's kind of what he's known for, right? Just the energy, has some new school analytic style, but also has enough old school to where he's a great blend in my mind whenever I watch him. So there's no surprise that he would transition them kind of into the next phase, or the phase they are kind of now, right?
Oh yeah, they've kept it rolling. I mean, they've got those trade trees that they're still reaping the benefits from. They make great front office moves. You can just tell too, there's a synergy and a camaraderie of guys that are on the field. A lot of them come up through the organization, so they feel a kinship to the team. But then guys that come in just plug and play, and they just have that element of a team where you can't buy that and put it together. It grows.
Yeah.
And either you come in and you get on board, or
you're out,
or you phase out.
Yeah.
And it's that's the beauty of the team sport, I think.
For sure. Okay, so walk me back. You have the jet ski incident.
Yep.
Accident, excuse me. It's what's kind of the next step? Like, what happens after that? How long are you out? You obviously mentioned the arm stuff. What was kind of the next scenarios that happened?
Yep. So I didn't miss a start in true Harbor fashion.
Yeah.
2 days later, with 8 stitches in the side of my face and a bruise from knee to hip on my land leg, so my left leg. I towed the slab, got out of the first, gave up a snowman in the second because I couldn't land on my leg, and continued to pitch. I didn't miss a start. I just downplayed it to the trainers, like I said before, and never got healthy. Went the next season to short season A in Charleston, South Carolina. Beautiful city. Gosh, it was great playing there.
That's long season, right?
It is. Yeah. It's long season, so this would be 2002.
Yeah.
And start the year. It was fine, felt okay, and started to have some issues in the elbow, and we went from a day, and this is, again, when you traveling in the minor leagues, baby.
Yep.
We left Charleston, South Carolina for a road trip up in Delmarva.
Ooh, Maryland.
Yep. So we leave Charleston at 100 degrees outside and 100 degrees or 100% humidity, it felt like. And by the time the bus stopped, 10 hours later, and up in Maryland, it was like 35 degrees.
Oh, man.
Frigid. I mean, we're just dressed for the heat and got there, and had to start there and just felt the twinge in the elbow. And I was like, okay. Went on the DL for about a month. And that was the only DL stint that I had in my whole career, but took that time off, felt better, pitched better, ended the season okay. And then got the promotion the next year to High A in Bakersfield in the beautiful California League. Funny experience.
Not if you're a pitcher.
That. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many guys that I played with, teammates that were from other parts of the country, would say, "I thought California was beautiful. I thought it was awesome. Like, where are we?" I'm like, "I've never been here either. We're on a mission together, guys. This is different." And so you're out in the high desert where, holy smokes, does the wind blow out?
Yeah, ball's traveling.
Oh yeah, every park's a bandbox for the most part, and you're just trying to keep the ball down and stay away from guerrilla baseball. It's like LSU in the '90s or something
exactly
out there.
Right.
It was wild. So spent 2 years there. First year struggled. Second year struggled even more.
Okay.
And
is it struggled like California League struggle, or is it just you're not executing pitches? The stuff doesn't feel as sharp. Maybe not feeling it.
It's so combinatory. And again, I have to look back with taking as much time away from the game as I have and looking at it honestly. If you'd have asked me in that moment, I would have said, oh, Cal League ball flies, some bad breaks, matchups weren't great. Well, whatever. I would have probably had an excuse.
Yeah.
But being honest and being as objective as you can when you want to learn something, it was combinatory. I definitely had the aches and pains, and the injury that just kind of lingered. But I also think that in losing some stuff, right, just losing the sharpness, and that's the thing about an elbow injury for people that may have never had them, is you don't see it in velocity. So there's not this like huge indicator that something is really wrong. Or if it's a shoulder, usually guys have a huge dip in velo, and you go, okay, something is up. My velocity was fine. It held steady. I mean, it's respectable. 88, 92 in that range, which in minor league baseball, like you better be spotting up and working in some secondary
for
pitches
sure. But this was in 2003 when 88 to 92 was very much. I mean, we used to joke that was Joe Righty.
Yeah,
If you were 88, 92 with the slider, you were average velocity. If you were 90 to 94, it was considered above average at the time. Now, I mean,
absolutely.
Now you're a thumber at 90 to 94.
It is mind-boggling, and it's hard to even compare the eras.
I know it really is.
Numbers. It's wild, but yeah. So that was kind of the working velocity range. But I was never an overpowering guy. I had good secondary stuff. I had a above average curveball and a pretty good changeup too that I could pitch with both. I could work those in and pitch backwards, and it had that pitch ability that I felt escaped me. I didn't have a feel out there. I just, the ball would be elevated. I didn't have that crispness on the breaking ball. I just wasn't putting guys away with it. If I look back at my numbers, the strikeouts were there to say there's something.
Yeah.
It's not like you just get, but I was getting. I mean, I'll call it like it is. I got lit up quite often.
Yeah.
And so all those things start to happen together, right? You don't have the stuff. You retrospect, you're a little nicked up. Your confidence starts to waver.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start to question, as I talked about the love of the game before, you start to go, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is tough for me, everybody's different, right? Obviously in your personalities, but one thing I've learned about myself is, the love of the game and that isn't. I was so wrapped up because of those successes as my image and who I am is a baseball player.
Yeah.
And I don't think some people it may motivate them. I don't think it did me a service because when the struggles came, it felt really, it dented the ego in a way where I'm like, this is the thing I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. I'm not even as good as I was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And as you feel that erode, it really shakes your confidence. And I just think all those things put together, I just every outing it was like almost predictable. It was like clockwork, right?
Oh, geez,
it was like you start out the first inning, okay, I got through clean. Here we go. This is going to be the one. This is going to right the ship. And then bang, something happens, right? And then it becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy in your mind because you've now had those outings over and over. I mean, God bless the Rays. I have to thank them for giving me the opportunity to go out there and get shillelied on a routine basis because most people would have been released with the amount of times that I got hammered. I mean, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
It really is the truth. And I've learned a lot from that experience. It took some years.
Yeah.
It took some time to get away from it. But yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, no,
it's rough.
Don't I know it, man?
Yeah, I know. We've had this, like you said, we've had this conversation a few times. So, yeah, I don't know where we were.
So Cal League, and then
Yep.
I know I kind of know a little bit about this story, but the promotion happens to Double A the next year, and that's 04?
It was 05.
05. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, surprising to me. I did have a good spring training. I threw the ball really well.
Arm feeling good at this point?
Yeah, and we also started playing the game at a time. We were right in the middle of the steroid era where people were lifting weights, but I didn't come up really training, and I was built like the Bat Boy, so it was kind of I was like, I got to get in the weight room. So I did that off season. I paid for a trainer. I went. I was dedicated. I put on some lbs, not a ton, but enough to be like functionally strong.
Yeah.
And I saw it in my stuff, and I was like, okay, you put in the work, you dedicated. You see a path here, and had a good spring. Started the season, couple okay outings, and then over the course of it, I mean, it's Double A.
Yeah, no, that's
like you get to Double A, like
extremely close to the big leagues. I mean, obviously there's definitely a margin, there's a difference, but there's some real talent there.
Real talent.
Yeah.
Like I mean, on my team on the other side, you talk about imposter syndrome. I was like, holy smokes!
Yeah.
How am I out here like? Did I win a raffle I didn't know about? Like, geez, this is great.
I mean, that Jacksonville team alone you used to face. I mean, you can name some of the guys on that team.
Oh yeah, I mean, they were minor league team of the year in 2005, and I mean, they rolled out. It was, Russell Martin, James Loney,
Chad
Billingsley, Jonathan Broxton, Hung Chi Kuo, was it Hanrahan? I believe that's who it was.
Hanrahan.
I mean, and then Eric Stoltz was another guy. Like they just had, and I can pull these guys because they all played in the big leagues. I can remember their names. I mean, it was just they were a murderous lineup, great pitching. But actually, that's one of those rare moments where I felt like I matched up every series. It was like I matched up against them, and it was like, can I just skip these guys once?
I know, right?
I mean. To steal an Andy Lopez line, they're tripping over the bat rack to face me.
I know.
And so, I'd taken my lumps. Had been a few hard ones against them, and I just had this one outing where, kind of in the mindset of a baseball player, right, where you're too analytical, you overthink things. You're all the stuff I've been talking about, and in this game, the starter we had going, another guy, great big league career, Jason Hamill. He's starting. We're going, hey, at this point in time, I'm in long relief. Yeah. I'm not going to see them out. This guy goes 7+ every outing. He just shoves.
Yeah.
Hey, you're down for the night.
Yeah.
Lock. You're not going to see it. You just right?
You can be in tennis shoes almost.
Oh, basically, yeah. Hey, turf's in a chart, man. Yeah. Just set me up. There's no need for me. But what ends up happening is he tweaks a hammy or a groin or something in the third or fourth inning, and it's like, well, now we need some long relief. Hey, get hot on the mound, and I'm like. Okay, I had this mindset that I wasn't going to participate, and I kind of almost checked out of switching modes into competition. And in that moment, it was almost like because I hadn't been preparing and doing all these, I ended up throwing really well.
Yeah,
and I was almost disconnected from it, and I just was out there and like whatever happens, it doesn't matter. Like nobody expected him not to go, and this,
for sure.
It changed things, and I threw it away. And I just remember having that moment, and there weren't any after that because I didn't have many outings after that because then the injury and just things happened. But I went, oh, I think I care too much about every single outing as opposed to just experiencing it and competing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the ramifications of this outing. I'm thinking of, hey, if I have another bad one, maybe I get released.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I'm definitely not getting the ball the next day. Just all these things that didn't matter. And in this one moment of clarity, it went, oh, just do it. Right? To take the Nike slogan, it's just so corny, but it was just go out and do it. And I went, I'm going to keep that. I was like, I don't know if it'll apply to me in the future, but if I ever work with kids or have a son of my own or a daughter for that matter that plays something, like, I'm going to use this as a kernel. So, yeah, it was it was the one little silver lining in that abysmal year of Double A. So after that, I ended up going on the DL at the end of that year. Hey, go see a doctor. Teammate was like, go see it. Yeah, he's like, you need to get cut, and kind of looking back to where you go, hey, you're hurt. I go see one of the best, Dr. Yoakum here at Curlin Job. And I'd seen a few other doctors, and they're like, okay, maybe it's just a UCL strain or whatever. I see him. He does the stress test, drops me to a knee. Does it hurt here? Puts his thumb on it. Yeah. I'm like, okay, great. This is what it is. He goes and fixes me up. At post-op, we're talking, and he goes, let me guess. He goes, after looking at the injury, he's like, it's not the worst I've seen, but it's pretty bad. And I was like, okay. He goes, this means you tore it a long time ago, and you continue to tear it year after year. You probably repair in the off season with some scar tissue, and then you go back. He's like, so did your seasons go like this? Felt great in spring, had a pretty good first month. After that started to deteriorate. I'm like, yeah, that's basically exactly what happened each year. He goes, yeah, this is why you're hurt. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and so again, not to make excuses, right? But you look back and you go, man, I was compromised. Shoot, like what could have been, right? And then you start to do that. So, post my career, as you and I are playing catch and long toss, getting you ready to continue to play in those off seasons, I'm thinking, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. It was that, right? Yeah. You should always put like, no, I'm going to make another run at it. I'm going to go after it. I'm going to go after it. But as time went on, kind of circling back to that love of the game, I went, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out there. I don't want to take the bus rides. Like, I didn't love all those things of it. I like the competition.
So all the side stuff that, we all know so well of being a professional athlete and not getting paid $10 million, but getting paid, $1,500.
Oh, far from it.
Yeah, you're not willing to do it at that point.
$1,500. I was exactly. Like, woo! All right, now we're cooking.
Yeah, I know. I know
it's
the feeling.
Low. But that's what you sign up for. You sign up to take that shot at the lottery ticket to get to the big leagues, but at that time it was, I can look back at those experiences now and I go, I wouldn't want my son to go through it. They were hard, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But at the same time I go, man, it's so important to face adversity.
Oh, for sure.
And learn how to battle through it.
Yeah. No, I would agree. It's huge. I mean, that's life in a nutshell, right? I mean, there's never a dull day. The times that you think that you got things all figured out, bam, you get hit in the face, and you better know how to react. And I feel like that is the one huge benefit of baseball, especially minor league baseball, and that like there's tons of adversity. Like every outing, the bus could be broken down, and you're not showing up till 1:15 p.m. for a 7 p.m. game, and maybe you haven't slept. That could be a million different things. You're playing in these stadium in high desert where the wind's blowing out 45 miles an hour, and you better find a way to get out of it. So I know, man.
The flag is starched out. That was not fun. But even just adversity, with more than the game. It's adversity with who you are and what you're doing with your life when you come to that moment, right? Some of us get to walk off and tip the cap, like hey, Jeter, I'm telling you when my last game is.
Yeah.
Most of us don't get that moment. And so when you have to face the reality that this thing that you pride yourself on, that you define yourself on, is no longer something available to you, how do you transition out of that? And that moment of adversity and getting through that moment can set you up to deal with just about anything in your professional work life moving forward.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree.
Nothing compares to that.
No, I would agree. And so what was your last outing like? So you get back from Tommy John, you're finishing up in 2007, correct?
Yep.
So what's the rehab like? How are you when you get back? Is your stuff sharp again?
Yes. So rehab from Tommy John, do the entire year, come back getting ready for 2007, had a whole year of going, okay, that's in the past. I'm a new man. I'm put back together. This, let's go. Velocity's increasing. I'm feeling good. Just feeling better than I had since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then a week before that 2007 spring training, we used to work off-season jobs.
Yeah.
And the one I had was working for an electrician. And it was my buddy and his dad, and just had a freak accident where we're doing work and we're digging a trench. And I turned around to say, hey, dude, you're a little too close to me with that pickaxe. And boom, on a downswing, catches me right in the pitching hand.
Oh my gosh!
Right above.
I do remember this.
Right into the palm, but above the wrist, in the palm of the hand on the pinky side, and I mean, immediately I'm like, okay, I think my hand just gonna come off, and it ended up being thankfully just like a flesh wound, and needed some stitches and a little repair. Hardly any muscle damage in the palm, but massive swelling. I mean, it swelled up to my shoulder because it was blunt force trauma. Again, a week before spring training.
That's so bad.
After a rehab year, after getting lit up for 3 seasons before that, and you're just going, okay, great. It's like,
do I love this?
Do I? Exactly. Am I going to put myself through this again?
Yeah.
And do I love it enough to do that? And I said, okay, look, I just told the team, rehabbed, and it was an accelerated clock of like, hey, we've got, as I told you, that transition happened with the Rays organization.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was there great leadership from a management perspective and a coaching perspective, but they had been drafting really well.
Yeah.
And so I'm now down rehabbing my hand in extended spring with, guys like Wade Davis, Jake McGee, Jeremy Hellickson, Alex Cobb, guys that
big leaguers, not just got a taste, but big leaguers.
They've had more than a cup and a lot of success on some of them. I mean, they're just, I'm just watching these guys, and they're the crop behind me.
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, I got to get back out there. Like, the next stop is release.
Yeah.
Release. Nobody's picking me up after the numbers I've shown. It's to indie ball. So this is your last, like, kind of the last hurrah. Go for it. So I rehab. I'm coming back. Get a few outings, feeling good down there, but just for whatever reason, just weakness in the wrist. I just started throwing these power cut fastballs unintended, and I'm going, okay, something's up.
Yeah.
Tweaking the elbow. I get one outing in Vero Beach where I just get, I think I gave up 4.
Yeah.
In an inning. I don't even think I recorded an out after all this stuff that I've just talked about getting to. Yeah. And just to bear it, we went back to the stadium. I walked the warning track, called my dad, tears in my eyes, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't think I can. Not that I don't even want to at this point. Like, I don't think that I can. And it was a real, like, breaking moment. I said, I'm going to give myself 4 weeks to rehab this. I'll throw a pen and see how it goes. Same thing, still barking and biting. Called it a day. Just said, I'm leaving. That's the career. And never played again. But all those experiences were vastly important to being the person I am today. And I couldn't be happier, being able to look back on that stuff and say that it didn't go my way. It wasn't what I wanted, and maybe it wasn't even what I wanted to do. But the opportunities and the struggles that baseball presented for me have definitely been a net positive across the board, no matter how much I struggled.
Yeah, for sure. And it's back to that old line, is that life's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things that, when you can look back on your career and realize, as much as it all stunk at times, obviously tons of highs, but some lows too, and some tough ones. It feels like it's one of those things where you can kind of build off of that and say, all right, this is what happened. This is happening for me. So now I can become the husband, father, the things that I'm so good at now, you are almost 40, correct?
Almost. Staring it down.
Yeah, exactly.
About a month.
Yeah. So it makes sense, man. I mean, I can speak to a lot of the same things. It's like, look, this is tough, and baseball can really wear you down, but it does prepare you for life.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and it was very helpful to have friends like yourself who were very encouraging, positive, somebody I could bounce all these ideas off of, as I'm just spiraling at certain moments, trying to figure it all out. And I think that's the beauty of team sports, is that you're going through it together, and you may be at different stages and different, on different paths, but you're having a similar shared experience that you can bond and relate over. And having those people around you to talk it through can really help.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And again, we've had plenty of those conversations, and so you realize you're done. You make the call. What's the next year and a half like for you, or what's the next short time after, long time after? How's it affect you? Like, no more baseball?
Yeah, that was rough. For all the reasons stated, not just not succeeding, but then having surgery and going, okay, what could have been? All right. Hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to regroup. I'm going to go back to school because I had signed right out of junior college, so I had 2 years of college left. Went to Cal State Fullerton, got my degree, worked towards that for a couple years, but my mindset was still, I'm going to do this because it's important. Get your degree. It'll be the next phase of life, but I'm not done playing. I'm going to go back. I'm going to make a run at it. You and I would throw in the off season.
You'd look great, yeah.
We get it cooking.
You'd have better stuff than I did.
And I'm like, well, debatable, but we're in this, we're getting ready and I'm feeling good. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And as fate would have it, had a 2 weeks before my graduation, went out and shattered my foot in a basketball game. And I knew it was broken, but the ensuing surgeries and rehab and everything really put a stamp to me that this is not an option anymore.
Yeah.
Like it was a rough one. I still have pain to this day. It's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was almost kind of what I needed. Again, another blessing in disguise where you think this is just something else, another hiccup in the way. What could have been, the coulda, woulda, shouldas. They fell away.
Yeah.
They fell away because I went, this is not an option for you. You need to figure something else out.
Yeah. You're allowed to move on now.
Yes. And it really was, like I said, everybody in the time of COVID has had this solitary existence for almost a year where you get a lot of time to think, well, I got a lot of time.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk. I didn't walk for almost a year and I was by myself. And so that time to really process and think things through, I just came to a moment where I said, maybe I'll play in a men's league. Maybe I'll play in some way to get those competitive juices going because there's nothing like being under the lights and having people there and the competition
agree,
and
man.
that 60-foot battle with somebody else. But it doesn't need to be what I define myself by. It just doesn't. I don't need this to be happy in this life. I can do other things and be happy. And it doesn't mean I'm not a competitor and I can't get out there and still get after it. But I didn't need that anymore to define who I was to other people. And in that really hard process of getting to that point, it was very liberating.
Yeah.
And that's why I can say, when circling back what I said earlier, do you love it? And I can honestly say, like, I don't think I loved it. Like I know some people do, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get the lessons and the experience.
Regardless, it's coming.
It's coming one way or another. So, yeah. And then here we are today.
And here we are today. So, did you watch baseball much after, or did you, was it part of your life? I mean, I know, you obviously take time to help me get ready, but
yeah, I took a hiatus. I definitely took a few years. One, because I couldn't do anything physically. I just had a lot of issues walking.
Yeah,
really, I had to kind of relearn to do that, and every day was a painful experience. So the last thing I wanted to do was go out and try to throw some long toss and torque, or even watch it at that point. So I stepped away, and again, that time and doing other things, I was like, I can be happy. There's other lives out there that I can lead that I can still be happy with, and having that then segued into allowing me to come back to the game as a fan and an observer.
Yeah,
somebody who has unique perspective compared to your friends that didn't play, and can share those things, but not from oh yeah, I see that guy's stuff. I can compete. You size yourself up with other guys. It just, that's all been stripped away, and it's just really getting to watch it and appreciate another thing that I came to that was really hard as a young competitor is, and I tell kids that I do work with today, I go, it's okay for other people to be good. Like their success, doesn't directly squash your opportunities. Other people can be good too.
Yeah.
And it's okay to sing their praises and like congratulate them when they do well. And it doesn't mean you're less of a competitor. It just means that you don't have this perpetual bar that you're stacking yourself up against. Do it for you.
Yeah.
Compete to be the best you can be and just see where that takes you.
Yeah, and that's such a freeing experience because, like you mentioned, minor league baseball does not promote that at all. I mean, like you are competing against your teammates, which is just the most bizarre feeling. And I've talked about it a little bit before, but when you see somebody go out and give up 2 over 7, you're thinking to yourself, all right, next game I'm going 8. I'm giving up 1 because I'm competing against my own guy, which definitely isn't healthy. I mean, it's not promoting anything positive, but you have to compete, and you're looking. We're all competing for the same big league spots, which are like 2.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of pitchers in the organization. So no, I get it, man. It's
figuring out what motivates you.
Yeah, for sure. And that's that's key for anything, right? I mean, just what makes you tick, and that's an important lesson.
Absolutely. I learned it the hard way, but I'm glad I learned it.
All right, man. So I got to ask, something we kind of started last episode, but best minor league stories or baseball stories that kind of stick with you to this day. Do you remember any?
Well, Since this is a family-friendly program, we'll go with the G-rated ones. As
you can go PG or PG-13.
There's some spicy ones in there, even on the field. You get enough alpha males together enough times in competing, it gets wild. But I'll give one that I thought was kind of surmises what I talked about, like the struggles in my career, but I can look back and laugh. We're playing in Rancho Cucamonga, close to where we grew up here, so I have family and friends that come out, get everybody tickets. Pretty excited. They're a good team. It was the Angels at the time, and I think they were minor league team of the year that year. So again, stiff competition, and I was holding my own, competing. Had a rough one, and they had their Old Navy home run inning. So if somebody hits a home run in this inning, $1,000 shopping spree to one lucky fan. You're like, okay, certainly not going to allow this to happen. Like, you're not thinking about that, but you just...
No, you are. Like,
but you are a little bit.
It's like the strikeout batter. Yeah. You're trying to punch that guy out every time he comes up.
I'm trying to get everybody
the wing batter,
exactly.
Exactly. The beer batter, he's out.
It's just a fun game within a game. And so this happens, and we're in that inning, the fifth inning, I believe it was, and I'm battling this epic at bat with the guy, and he's a lefty, so he hits a ball to left center, so it's kind of fading away.
Remember who it was?
I don't remember who it was, but I'll tell you, our center fielder, his name was Joey Gathright. This guy flew. I mean,
fastest guy in professional baseball.
Unreal. YouTube him jumping over a car. It'll blow you away. It's real. I saw it in person. So this guy, I'm like, okay, he's going to track this down. And he is on his horse. He lays out for this ball, and he misses it. And not only does he miss it, but he's laid out.
Oh,
and I'm like, he's hurt. And as this guy is pounding for second, and I'm watching this play unfold, and I'm like, this is going to be an inside the park home run. In the home run inning of a packed house when I'm already getting lit. And it was just like one of those moments where the guy comes around, they're like, we have to go to the official score. Indeed, it's an inside the park home run. Yeah. And it's just that moment of pure ecstasy for thousands of people is just simultaneously you're having the worst moment, and you're just sitting on this little dirt island going, I can't dig under this thing fast enough.
I know. Get me out of here.
Oh, man. But, it's funny to look back on now. I can laugh about things like that because, there's a million of those just random stories like that. But that was a fun one.
No, that's awesome. That's a good one. God, the home run inning, the beer batter, all that stuff. It's funny. You would think that professional athletes wouldn't care, but we absolutely care. I mean, the beer batter comes up. You are throwing your best breaking ball to strike him out.
Oh, yeah.
Anything you got. I'll bust out a split, a cutter, whatever we need. We're getting that guy out.
Oh, yeah, because you go, you're doing charts in the stands the next day, and those fans are like, yes, you're the man. You helped me out. Yeah, they love you. Because you had that real interface with fans because you're really going in the stands and charting. So there was that added little bonus of doing that. It was those are the fun times.
Yeah,
those are the exciting ones.
For sure. So, hey, man, God, I feel like that's maybe a good place to stop, but I appreciate it. I mean, one of my best friends, and
happy to do this.
The irony is you're a podcast guy too. Like you're one of the guys that turned me on to podcasts, and so I was like, of all the people, this guy knows the deal and knows kind of how the mechanism works, and so it was kind of a no-brainer. But
yeah, well, thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And I think that you have a real natural knack for this, and it's been cool to listen to and kind of see.
We'll see.
Hey, man, I'm just telling you again. You said it. I've listened to thousands upon thousands of them, and some great and some not so great. And this has been not only fun to be a part of, but also to listen to other people's journeys and take kernels from them as well. And hopefully there was something in there today for somebody.
Well, that's the thing, and again, everybody kind of gets something different from each story, and we all kind of, the big joke was when we were playing, I'd listen to people's story and be like, oh man, everybody's got a story. I even used to joke with one of my teammates, like that was the line, everybody's got a story. But as you kind of step back and you listen to them now, like there's so many valuable nuggets, so many things that happen, so many life lessons that baseball teaches you that, when you're 40 and you can step back and listen to these things, like you can really get something from each person, like something along their way that happened to them that you can pull back to in your career and say, God, that's very similar. And maybe this helps you with something current day. And also, like you mentioned, we're coaching now. You coach young guys, I coach young guys. And our information to the next generation is huge because we can help them maybe avoid some mistakes, help them to to kind of work through some of the stuff that will come up in their career, because no matter how good you are, somebody's going to deal with it. So
Yep.
no, man, it's huge. I mean, that's kind of been the beauty of this whole thing.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate
yeah.
it, Keith.
See ya.
All right.